I'd now like to introduce the Honorable Jim Oberstar, who is the former chair of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and have him give us a few words of wisdom based on his many, many years of work in the Congress.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you for your long and persistent and unrelenting advocacy on behalf of those who have lost loved ones, who've had themselves been involved in tragic truck accidents, such as Nancy, whom I've known for nearly 20 years, came to visit me just after her tragic accident, and she was still going through reconstructive surgery. She's not given up the cause of truck safety. And Joan cited the numbers, cited the figures, and the report and the public information and that the figures that are cited on the chart just next to us. Since 1948, cars have gotten smaller, half the size, and trucks are twice the length and more than twice the weight. The stopping distance for an 80,000-pound truck is 355 feet. That is the length of a football field. Pace it off sometime. Try to cross a street in that period of time. 88 feet a second at 60 miles an hour. Even at 40 miles an hour, that's 40 feet a second. Try to get across that street in the time that you can envision that truck coming down upon you. And then imagine another 17,000 pounds or another 20,000 pounds. And that stopping time stretches out to 445, 450 feet, depending on the speed at which the truck is going. And you get a capsulized idea, a personalized idea of the danger zone in which you find yourself with an overweight truck. Now, one 80,000-pound truck going over a bridge built to the proper standards and maintained to the proper level exerts as much force on that bridge as 9,600 cars traveling over that same structure, bridge or a highway. And bridges are built to a certain formula called engineering standard called the bridge formula. And if you have heavier trucks, then you need more powerful engines, and those engines vibrate at a different harmonic than those built for 80,000-pound trucks. And that increased vibration affects the harmonics of the bridge built to a different standard. It causes its earlier deterioration and ultimate collapse. Those heavier trucks will, as is now the case, are not paying their way. Joan cited the figures. So you put more trucks on the roadway, the argument always has been that will mean fewer trucks. But in 1956, with the establishment of the Highway Trust Fund and the gas tax to build the interstate highway system, we had 1 million trucks in that year. Today we have 7 million trucks on the road. And each time the weight and length have been increased for trucks, we have seen more, not fewer, trucks on the road. While there was a decline in fatalities from 5,000 to 4,200 something, that principally is due to fewer trucks on the road with the recession. That number is coming back. That number is growing. What we need is more intermodalism, more trucks on trains, more trailers on trains, and fewer on the road. But what we need is what President Jim Hoffa has long advocated, and the Teamsters, who are the greatest who represent the greatest number of drivers on the road, safer trucks, safer drivers, safer habits, companies that adhere to the highest standards of safety. And the advocacy of the group that Joan and Jackie Gillen have led for years, Advocates for Highway Safety and Safer Trucks, have been the driving force behind legislation to establish the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration and the legislation that implements that concept to maintain safety at the highest possible standard. But behind their advocacy, and really in front of it, are the people who stand with us here today, who have lost loved ones, who have lost family members, who themselves have been victims of crashes. And when an 80,000-pound truck collides with a 4,000-pound car, the car loses. And we lose when we, as the previous administration tried to do, open the borders to substantially overweight, 120,000-pound trucks from Mexico, whose drivers may have been on the road for 12 or 15 hours when they get to the U.S. border, and then want to drive another 10 to 12 hours on U.S. roads, already fatigued, already tired. I think each one of the witnesses today are here to witness to their families, tell you the story of a tired trucker who fell asleep at the wheel, who was driven by the company to drive longer hours and not keep adequate or accurate records of their logbook, which many years ago were referred to as joke books. Not with the Teamsters, not with their members. They want safe roads, safe drivers, and safe companies. And they want to avoid the kind of tragic stories that I've heard time and again, and that each of these witnesses brings today. I will close with one of my favorite comments by Samuel Gompers, who is the founder of the AFL-CIO. On his deathbed said, "I have dreamed since I entered as a young boy the labor movement to leave it in better shape than I found it." And while I have concluded my career in the Congress, I will continue my career to leave highway safety in better condition than I found it. And thanks to these witnesses, to Advocates for Highway Safety, to Jim Hoffa, we're doing that.